What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Love and Rice podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And please make sure you guys follow us on Spotify, all podcast platforms, YouTube. So on YouTube, we release these 20-minute videos. We break them down for you so they're easily digestible. You guys on YouTube love it this way. And then we compile them and put them on Spotify for a 1-hour episode and all the other podcast platforms. So Wednesdays, they go out 6 a.m. And then on YouTube, they go out like 4 times a week at noon. Okay. And then we also upload our vlogs every Tuesday because I know a lot of you guys miss that. Some of you don't watch the podcast, but the ones that do, we love your feedback. I know a lot of you guys are enjoying them. So thank you very much for listening. And in today's episode, I want to talk about a topic that Christina brings up
all the time.
Yeah, constantly in our marriage.
Yes.
And she's just, I don't know, this is all her. She always brings it up. And we're talking about love languages.
Yes.
She talks a lot about her love languages. We don't talk too much about my love languages. And I just want to, in a marriage, it's very important, right?
Yep.
And do we ever follow through with the love languages? It's kind of hard. So I want to understand in this podcast her love languages to the fullest. I want her to understand mine and how we can make those really happen. Because I think without that, it's very difficult in a relationship, whether it's with your significant other, your parents, your kids, everybody.
Even with friends.
And friends.
Yeah.
Everybody has different love languages. And so when people say, you need to make a better effort in our relationship, you need to make, friends, family, whatever, right? And so making an effort just doesn't mean like doing things where it's like going to call you up, let's go hang out. It's more of like efforts in love languages and understanding the other person's. So
yes.
If you guys don't know what love languages are, there's, I think, 5?
Yeah, there's 5.
Okay, what are the 5?
One is words of affirmation.
What does that mean?
Words of affirmation is kind of like giving each other compliments, but it's also letting people know that you appreciate the things that they're doing. So you're verbally acknowledging like their efforts for things that they're doing or their accomplishments.
So even though the person who's not words of affirmation already understands that, like for example, I love you, right?
Yeah.
And so I already know that, and I know you love me, right? But if you're a person who's words of affirmation, you always need to hear I love you, right?
Right.
Okay. So what are the other ones?
There's quality time. So the person usually appreciates spending quality time with each other more than anything else. So it's not really like just spending time being in the same room or like being in the same house all day, right? Because that's not really quality time.
Oh, I thought that was quality time.
No, it's not, because you're in the same house and you're in the same environment, but you're not really spending time together.
So this is how different it is in a relationship. Like if a person wants quality time, that might be you, and you're thinking that, and you have a different definition. For a person who is not quality time as their love language, they just think of it as, well, let's go watch Netflix together.
Yeah. And
that's not it, right?
For some people, that might be okay because that's how they love each other in that language. But for other people, quality time is actually like being in the same room, actually like not having any distractions. That's quality time is not my love language. But for me, quality time is like being together in the same room, no distractions, not being on the phone. Maybe you can have something on, but you can be having conversations about what's going on. So rather than just like zoning out and watching a movie and not talking at all and connecting, like you're connecting through the movie and having a conversation about what's going on.
Got it. Okay. And what are some other ones?
Receiving gifts. So these are people who love to receive gifts.
What if it's the other way?
What do you mean?
People who like to
give gifts?
Yes. Because when I researched what that means, receiving gifts, a lot of the research I found was also giving gifts.
Okay.
But what is I think it's both, but I don't know why, like on the accurate terms, it's just receiving gifts.
That's a good question. I think because maybe some people might like giving gifts for the sake of gifts, but the people who receive gifts, they're the ones that see it like as like, oh, this is them showing me that they love me because they're going out of their way to give me gifts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the feeling of receiving a gift is different from giving a gift.
Right. So is it like the women who want sugar daddies? Is that receiving gift as their love language?
It could be. Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah. I mean, if it works for them, right?
Okay.
And I guess that's probably what makes them good sugar babies. But the other one is acts of service.
Uh-huh.
So this is basically people who see love as doing something for the other person, doing things around the house or completing tasks. So physically getting things done to show the other person like, oh, this is how I show you that I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what is the last love language?
The last one is physical touch. And that is a person who likes to show their love through touch. So it's kind of like for me, that's actually my love language. And I'm a very physical person. And I like to give hugs. You know, I like to embrace people. I like to like give little like sympathy taps, or I like to like give kisses and stuff like that.
So here's something, we can go right into this.
Okay.
Because you're saying physical touch is your love language, right?
Right.
And you just said you like to give hugs, you like to embrace people, you like to do this,
Yeah.
right? So every time you talk about love languages with me, you don't talk about any of that. You say, how come you don't give me enough physical touch? How come you don't do this and that? But right now you're saying this is what you like to do. You like to give it. But you always ask me about receiving it.
Yeah, because that's my love language. Like, so I'm a physical person, but that's how I show love. But that's also how I want love to be reciprocated with me.
Right. But you never show me that.
Because you don't like to be touched.
No, I didn't say I don't like to be hugged or embraced or patted like this.
Yeah. So I guess the thing is though, like if physical touch is my love language, I feel like I will appreciate it more if it was shown to me. And I think if it was shown to me more, then I would reciprocate it back. But I feel like if the other person doesn't show that to me, then I kind of feed off of their language and then I'll just not do it.
So this is the biggest problem in every relationship. So the person who doesn't understand, who doesn't have that love language, they don't know what to do. So that's why here we're going to figure out how to break that, but also how you can break that mentality. Because you have to understand, if physical touch is not my love language and you're expecting something, I don't know what it is, right? So now it's my responsibility to figure that out, but it's also your responsibility to teach it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's both sides, but it's just like, well, he's not doing it. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to do it. So then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So like, it can't be like that.
Yeah, because I think it kind of is something that happened over time as well. Because I think if you've noticed, like in the beginning of the relationship, I was very physical, and you were too, actually. Mm-hmm. And I think over time, like it started to show that you actually weren't a physical person, and you didn't like to be touched as much because of like your actions.
I think so. What they say is that over time, love languages change.
Okay.
Throughout relationships, throughout partners, or even just throughout life. Throughout life, when things happen, love languages change, right? So I think ours changed, or mine changed when we started having kids, because now a lot of my energy and everything was soaked in by the kids, and also by trying new things with work, right? So the energy level shifted to like different love languages.
Okay.
So that's where I saw that happen.
I'm not sure that I follow you from there, because for me, I honestly, like, I didn't even know what love languages were until maybe a few years back. And it was probably like when we had like an argument, and that, you know, and then it was when I was talking to like my girlfriends and we were talking about things, and they were like, hey, so, but what is your love language? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know what that is. And when they were naming it to me, I was just like, oh, I might be quality time, because I thought that's what I was actually missing.
Yeah.
But they actually have like a test that you can take in and ask you all these questionnaires, and you kind of figure out what love language is important to you. And people can have multiple ones, just depending on your state of mind at that time. And, physical touch was the top one. And I feel like maybe quality time was the second, or words of affirmation. I don't remember. But
Okay, so what are all your love languages?
so when I took this test, this was probably a few years ago, I would say, maybe 2 years back. And the top one was physical touch, or top three actually that were close to each other, which was physical touch, quality time, and words of affirmation.
Yeah, those are opposite of all mine.
What are yours?
Acts of service
Yeah, we know that's your top one.
and giving gifts.
Okay.
And
Giving gifts,
Yeah.
even though it's receiving gifts
It's not receiving gifts.
for the love language.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's receiving gifts.
But I like giving gifts.
Okay.
So for me, it's like, acts of service to me means that I like someone who is able to put in the work, right? So like when I see that someone takes care of certain things around the house, washes the dishes, I feel like, oh, I'm appreciated. So like if I was to cook every day, then I would love for the other person to wash dishes and clean up every day. To me, that's acts of service.
Okay.
And that shows like, okay, I mutually respect what you just did, cooking dinner for the family. And I love that. So I am going to wash the dishes for you, right? So now when things aren't done, then that acts of service to me is like, oh, so she doesn't respect me or she doesn't love me enough to do it now after. And then, so it's like, it all comes down to like, I guess freeing your stress and mind too. So like when I like acts of service, when I like to do things, this is my personal way. It's because I like to get things done. So it's cleared and gone. Right.
Right.
So let's say if I make dinner and then you're like, okay, I'll wash dishes later. And before it gets to later, it's like, take care of the kids, take care of yourself, do all these other things around the house, catch up on work. And then by the time you want to wash the dishes, you're like tired, or it's not for the acts of service for me anymore. Now it's just for like, this is something I have to do. It's a chore. I don't like it. I'm tired. Damn, there's so many dishes to wash. So it's like through that whole process of you doing everything you need to do for the night, you still have this chip on your shoulder where you're like, oh, I still got to clean the house. I still got to wash the dishes. And it's like, that's actually the wrong way to look at it. It should be more of, he just cooked this amazing dinner. He actually tried something new today for dinner that he's never cooked in his life. And, so it's like, that's why to me, acts of service is important.
Right. So I guess it really depends on perspective as well. Cause, I will do that at times, but at the same time, it's like, there's so many other things to do too.
Of course.
So I know you'll take for just this, like, just as an example, but like, you'll cook your meal and then you'll eat with us for maybe like 15 minutes. And then you're like, all right, I got to go back to work. So I'm dealing with the kids the rest of the time. And then after that, there are a lot of times though that while they're eating, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to just sit here, and I end up doing the dishes.
Yeah.
But sometimes they require me to be there, or I'm doing other things, or I'm actually working while they're eating.
Right.
So, but you don't see that because you're gone. So when you see that I don't wash the dishes like immediately after, you don't realize like that there's all these little things that have been happening while you're working.
No, it's not that. I do realize it. What I'm trying to say is the person who has this acts of service love language, the way they are thinking about it is different. So we know that there's things that you have to do, and that's fine.
Right.
That's why there's no arguments with that, right?
Yeah,
it's accepted. But what I'm trying to say is that we see that your work and everything you have to do comes before the love on that acts of service. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I guess it's also trying to put in perspective also that like maybe all the other things that I am doing so that you can work, like taking care of the kids and trying to get all their school stuff ready, dealing with homework, cleaning up after they're eating, although it may not specifically just be dishes. I feel like I'm still doing all these things to show that, hey, I got you, I love you, I'll take care of you, so let me deal with all that other stuff.
I don't see that because those things aren't directly for me. It's for the kids. So I see that as acts of service for the kids.
But it should actually, you're seeing it in a different way too, because you should be seeing it as, oh, she's helping me out by allowing me to have my own time for myself to get all this stuff done without any distractions.
Yeah, I get it. It's like, right now I'm giving the kids a bath. I think the first few years you're giving them a bath and stuff like that, or vice versa. And
yep.
So now I'm giving them a bath. And when I give them a bath, I'm like, okay, I'm going to give the kids a bath so Christina can do her own thing. And like, I do it for her. So yeah, I get what you're saying right now.
Exactly. So it's kind of like trying to not focus too much on one thing and trying to notice like the bigger picture. And I understand what you're saying when you're saying, okay, well, she didn't do the dishes right away. So I feel like she doesn't.
No, so there's a difference in the levels of love. So when you do the things for the kids while I'm working so I can work, that's like a low level love for me, because what I'm saying is I don't want to work right now. I have to. Okay. But when I cook certain meals, it comes with passion and love. And I love making certain foods for you guys. And I want to do something new for you guys. I want to cook this Vietnamese or Chinese food that I know you would like. You know, like yesterday I cooked some bun hoi for the first time. Yeah. Right. And it's Vietnamese food because your family always eats Vietnamese food.
But that's like one of your favorite dishes. so
that's it's what I know how I think I can mimic to make.
Right.
I don't know how to mimic a bun roux or a what's bun bo wei.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I can't make those because they're not my favorites. I don't understand the dish.
Right.
So at least this is still within the culture of it. And I'm like, let's give this a try because she'll appreciate the spring roll type thing with the fish sauce. She loves fish sauce. So I will learn how to make fish sauce for you, right?
Yeah.
So that type of love is high compared to like, I'm forced to work and then you got to do these things for me to work. Like,
yeah, so I guess that's where there's also that like disconnect with the love languages, because you saying all these things is showing that you're trying to show me love, but in your love language.
Right.
And that's the issue with relationships, because that's why I'm constantly like, hey, I wish you would love me more in my love language, because you doing all these things for me, it doesn't spark joy in me as much as it would for you.
Yeah. And these are the complications in the relationship. Everyone is like, I want to do this because it's my love language.
Exactly.
And this is where it's got to stop.
Yeah. And we're going back and forth about like, oh, but we're doing this and this. But actually, that's not the message.
This is what we're unraveling here is that now we have to figure out how we can do each other's love languages. But I think what has to happen is the person with a love language, you have to coach the person through it, or it's not going to happen. It's not a day and night thing where it's like, okay, turn on the switch. I know what to do. I don't. I'm almost 40 years old and I have not done it this way for 40 years. So
no, but you have. That's why when I say it, I'm like, oh, but you were like this in the beginning. And I know maybe.
No, it's different.
Maybe it's the lovey-dovey phase in the beginning, but then I think because you were so affectionate and so loving and so physical with me in all different types of ways, like that is just completely changed over time.
Right. It is a lovey-dovey phase because that's only like when you're dating is like the first 2 years of dating type of thing, right? But then the other 30 some years is still like you still have your everything that you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Like you can't compare the 2 years to like what I've known my life that you have not seen for 30 some years. I'm not accustomed with.
Yeah.
So doing what I did in the lovey-dovey stage was not normal for me. It was just a phase that I went through. So for me to get accustomed to your love language, you have to coach me through it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, because I didn't know. Like around that time, I had no idea. Like, why were we like this? Why has the dynamic changed? I didn't realize that, like, because of our love languages.
Because at the same time, it probably wasn't for you. It could have been for me. Maybe at that time, my love language was physical touch.
Maybe.
So like that's what I'm
That actually
saying.
makes a lot of sense.
Nobody knows anyone else's love language but their own, and they only do their own. So during the dating phase, that's what it was. And so you're thinking, well, he used to do this for me. Shit, maybe it wasn't for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, and I just came to this realization right now. Like,
Yeah.
I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, because I feel for me, I don't know, like my love language probably could have changed over time, but I feel like I've always been a physical person. So, yeah, like I can confirm that for sure because I was always a hugger. I was always that person that would like have the arm around the friend or whoever when I'm consoling them, or even like just seeing how I am with the kids. Like I'm just so affectionate with them.
And then while we're dating, you still didn't do those things. I initiate everything.
Oh, because the
I
guys
hold it-
usually do.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? You're still this entire time you're talking about how you like to do these things for people, but for your significant other you don't like to. You only like to receive it.
Well, I mean, we've gone through a lot, and I feel like us being in a long-term relationship, like we've been together for how many years? Like 11 years.
12, I don't
12,
know.
yeah. So the dynamic has changed because I feel like I was always that person who did initiate, and I would always like be the one to give you that physical touch afterwards. But that's probably when, I don't know, maybe your physical touch, your love language changed, and then you became the person that just didn't like to be touched. So that changed the whole dynamic because I was actually that person giving you that physical touch, love.
Yeah, maybe it changed from like like I said, I think it's when the family started. So my mentality before was more like boyfriend, girlfriend, newlyweds. It's all about you.
Yeah.
Now when I'm a dad, it's more like now I'm like a tough monkey, and I'm like, oh, and like, you know, pounding my chest and like, how can I be the man of the family? And now it's like man.
Yeah, that
to
makes
where-
sense.
Right? So now it's different. So
That's true. But it's funny now that you say that because I was like, oh, well, maybe since he's not giving me that affection anymore, maybe it's all going towards the kids. And you actually do try to make that effort to be affectionate with them, but they're the ones that are pushing you away, and they're like, yeah, and they want to hug you. And I mean, you want to hug them and give them kisses, and they're like, no. So now it's kind of like, that's kind of like how it feels in a sense.
kind of.
So-
All right, so what is your other love languages that we can work on?
Well, I think it was just quality time because I know a lot of the times we're tired. Like we have so much stuff to do during the day, and we always resort to just like watching movies in bed, right?
That's what I'm doing. So when I'm working, I'm like, oh, hurry up, so I can go watch Netflix with her, so I can spend time with her.
Yeah, but I guess like it's great that we can do that, but I feel like because that's the only time that we actually get together other than these podcasts, we don't really get to connect like on a mental state as well, because we're not really communicating.
So, well, it's not that. It's because we're putting work in the schedule and nothing else. So that's why I always say we need to schedule things, even our time for us. So like if we scheduled some day dates and then connect that way during day dates, then we wouldn't have any issues. But we're not scheduling that in right now.
Yeah, because it just, like you said, it always goes back to work. Or when we do try to schedule a date, one of the kids gets sick,
Right,
and they're at home.
but then you gotta change the schedule. So it's like you need to put it on the actual calendar, okay? And we have to put the time aside to have the energy and efforts and look forward to those dates,
Yeah.
right? Because if we don't put it in the calendar and it's like, oh, we got an hour, let's go do this together. Well, now I'm just kind of like, oh, thank God I don't have to do work right now, right? But if we put it in the calendar, I might be like, let's get this work done so I know tomorrow I'm not going to think about work at all, and I can focus on going with you to this restaurant and spending time with you. Maybe we can order a drink and have fun and talk or things like that. So now the energy and efforts into planning makes it a better day, and then you can connect.
Yeah, so I think with that too, because to me, I was always like, why do I have to schedule to have quality time or even to have like spontaneous conversations?
Yeah.
Because I will try to have those times, and you're always like, timing, right? Read the room. But I'm like, but if I'm just trying to have a casual conversation with you, like, how do I schedule that? So I think with what you're trying to say, like, if we're trying to schedule quality time, then it may have to be like you figuring out time in your schedule, because you're the one setting your own schedule now. So maybe it's like whatever you see as quality time where it can be enjoyable and we can actually connect, maybe you need to fit a time slot there.
If I don't see anything in the calendar, I'm going to continue taking care of the things I need to take care of. So like when you put in the calendar that you're going to the gym, then I stop work during those times and do stuff for the kids, or I know I need to make dinner or lunch during that time, stuff like that.
Oh, but I usually do it when they're not home.
Well, no, there's times when it's like 4:00 or whatever, or there's times when it's like, you do it when I have to pick up the kids for school or whatever. So it's like, I have to stop my stuff to help you so you can do your thing. So all I'm saying is if you scheduled in something, then I know when I need to stop and focus energy to something else. Well, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I guess I'm saying that maybe it's better for you to put in a slot of when you think it would make more sense. So then I can follow from you, because I still don't really fully understand the having to schedule time to spend time together. So I feel like you need to lead by example. So you show me what your example is, and then I can follow from there and see what makes sense.
I think there's so many times where I gave you a schedule for work and stop working so we can do other things, and then you never follow through with the schedule. So I stopped, because now I just see you working all day as well on your computer trying to do things, and I'm like, okay, well, she's still working. So yeah. But it's like, I think compromising, and I like what you said, lead by example. So that's what we'll work on and we'll do. And we'll work on helping each other's love languages and coaching each other through it instead of expecting.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep. And remembering there's a thin line between trying to separate the love languages. So it's like just remembering that, okay, this might spark joy for you, but it won't spark joy for the other person.
As long as you coach your love language, we'll be okay. If you don't coach it, it's going to be hard for one person to figure out.
I'm a simple person. I just like hugs and kisses and affection.
Deal? Shake on it?
Yep.
What the hell?
See, that's physical touch.
Okay, but I didn't do like, I didn't like
kidding.
it. Like, all right. Anyways, guys, my nipple is feeling pretty vulnerable right now. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Love Languages. If you don't know, if this is your first time hearing about it, you can go on Google and search up, love languages and take a test.
Take the test. It's very important. It really is.
Next time, I actually want to talk about DISC. I don't know if you know what DISC is. You're a D person, I, S, or C person. And it's like love languages, but it's a psychology type of test. And maybe we'll get to that one in later on. But for this episode, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, podcast platforms, and on YouTube. And we'll see you on the next episode of Love and Rice. Peace.